What's up, YouTube? Tsuchikage here, bringing you my first ever segment for this channel. It's gonna be called Save a Homie. So in this segment, I grab my cloak, my Mountain Dew, and I scurry off into my Theorcrafter dungeon to do the work that the balanced team of the game won't. Each week, I and Twitch chat pick 3 different units, and we try to bring them back into some form of meta relevance, so without making them too busted. Now, actually, speaking of chat, just so that you're aware, I stream 3 times a week, and every weekend at TV/Tsuchikage. Come on over to a nice, wonderful chat room where you can get some chaotic ASMR vibes while I rage at RTA. But anyway, what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, the first unit that we're going to touch is a unit that's near and dear to me because I am a furry. Anyway, the first unit that Chad and I decided on was the wonderful Mistress Mui. Now, if you're unaware of what Mui is, they are a Earth 5-star warrior of the Virgo variety. We can take a look at their stats right here, and they are fantastic at a wonderful 115 speed. Not too fast, not too slow, but for what we're trying to make her turn into, she's gonna need a little bit more speed than this. So firstly, let's go over the unit's kit. S1. So skill 1 is Lash. Attacks an enemy with a whip with a 65% chance of increasing target for 2 turns. And that can also go up to a wonderful 80% chance. We'd love to see it. S2. Punishment. See, they knew what they were doing. Punishment, huh? Yeah, good job, Smilegate. Anywho, punishment calls upon a tamed monster to attack all enemies with a 35% chance each to inflict 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns and a 65% chance to stun for 1 turn, which these 2 things will be increased with multiple investment, as you can see from the screen, but that's not what we're worried about here. And finally, what a beautiful name for this, Grand Finale. Drives monsters forward to attack all enemies, dispelling 2 buffs, granting attack increase to all allies for 3 turns, and increasing combat readiness of the caster by 25% per critical hit. So, the wonderful unit like Mui, she is a crit dependent, you kind of want to say speed unit, speed utility unit like Flitica. She has a lot of initiating stats where critting assists her kit. Critting assists her with landing her debuffs. At least what I felt is necessary for the unit. So first things first, what we're going to work on right now is the S1. The S1 of this unit is attacks enemy with a whip with a 65% chance to target for 2 turns. What I decided, and then I molded over with Chad. You know, Chad always agrees with me when they're not being a dick. Anywho, S1, when granted attack up, dual attacks with the unit with the highest attack. So what we're essentially going to do is we're going to remove the unnecessariness of just her granting herself attack. So we turned her into the 5-star version of Camilla. So now that when she has attack up, just normal attack, she'll then be able to dual attack with the unit with the highest attack. So it's perfect. Also, in regards to target, the percent chance just seems lazy to me. So we decided that we were going to remove the effect chance, and when she inflicts a critical hit, she lands target. So think of units like Eligos. When Eligos S3s, he inflicts target and defense break. So we include that into her S1, which will make her more viable and another option for the what we like to call the light cleave. You know, the C. Lilius Candy and whatever dual attacker you want cleave. So this will be another option that they can add to their arsenal that we all are going to love and appreciate, right? Right? Anyway, so with that is going to be her S1. Her S1, we're not really going to change too much things with that in regards to other usability or functionality, but we will be making changes to the exclusive equipments, which we're going to get to at the end of the segment. So now with her S2, what we thought and what I agreed on is that we move the soul burn from this, we move it to S3. We'll get into that later. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to change the bleeds because she needs an updated kit. She needs a kit that can actually interact with the meta. Bleeds don't really do anything. So I decided we'll switch things up. Percent chance for the stun and the new debuff, which is going to be defense break, of course. Every meta relevant unit needs a defense break in their kit, right? Which will be advantageous for that pre-established light team that everyone is using. So what we're going to do is that we're going to give her 75% chance to defense break on her S2 and a 50% chance to stun depending on Molagora. Then also, which is a funny pairing for this kit, she reduces CR by 10% depending on crit. Just saying, make her crit dependent. Now, finally, the grand finale. And this is going to be a grand finale indeed, I promise you that. What we thought is, instead of her gaining CR, so like Flitika's S2, depending on the crit, she can gain CR. We decided, why not transfer the CR per crit to the unit with the highest attack? So, let's say she's going against a team of Aiden, Euphine, Laya, A Tywin. Much better, much meta relevant. She hits 3 out of the 4 units, which means that she's transferring 75% CR to the unit in the back line, or whichever unit has the highest attack. With that unit sped up, they get to take the next turn, regardless of what their CR was at the time. And yeah, that's essentially what we would change in pertaining to her skills. We would increase her stats so that when she is max, she has 119 speed. So give her enough speed that she can interact with the big boys. Right now, she has the same speed as Naquil, but with a more aggressive style comp, you'd want her to be around the range of a Sea Phantom Potus or a Lilius. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? Right. So now, let's get into her EE. So for her EE for her S1, we're choosing to get rid of the punishment EE altogether. Just scrap that. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with Lash. This EE is going to ignore the need for crits for the dual attacks. So it just turns into a pure dual attacker. So every time she hits, she'll land the target and she'll be able to dual attack. So that'll help with dealing damage to key target units. For her S2, we decided to add inflict silence for 1 turn if a critical hit is landed. Now, hear me out, right? This will still have to go through the normal effectiveness and effective resistance checks. So it's not going to be a blanket. If she crits you, she silences you, because then that's just going to be way too overbearing. We already came to an agreement on that. And finally, for her S3, for grand finale, she triggers a dual attack on an enemy with the highest CR. Now, that's just a dream now, just a dream. She can still keep the ability to grant them, the enhanced dual attack perk. That's fine. Now, with a unit like this, what you would want to pair with, like, she's just another alternative, like Lilius, like Kitty Clarissa, Singelica, and to another extent, C Poly. So she's just another option that those teams can use, and she pairs extremely well with Ravi, Candy, PBK, and other single DPS dual attack comps. Like, all of that will work together. So now we have another homie that we should help, and that homie is going to be our good old friend Tywin. Now, before we help this homie, I gotta plug a homie. So now, in the event that you are watching this video and you have copious amounts of questions, you can ask them in the comment section down below, you can come to my Discord. The link will be in the description of this video if you want to come in about questions, check out my seasonal builds, and if you feel like it, shit posting about the game. I would appreciate you so much if you just gave me a slide and gave me a wonderful follow down there in Discord. So now, let's get into Tywin. Oh, Tywin, man. The unfortunate one and done savior of none. This guy, I guess, used to be good. Now, let me preface with this. I am a new player. I've been playing the game since October of 2023. So, is my opinion very valuable? Yes, to me it is. To you, maybe not so much, but I love it, so you're gonna love it too, right? Right. So, let's go ahead and get into our good old boy Blue Tywin. So, what does he do with S1? Sword Storm. Attacks with a Sword Storm. Of course, obviously. Thank you. It's in the name. That's useful. With a 50% chance to dispel one debuff. Damage that is proportional to the caster's max HP, which is all fine and good. That's all well and dandy, honestly. Then we have Tywin's S2 Tactical Command. Immune to debuffs with prevent movement. Fantastic. We love to see those. So, kind of the downgraded version of what Dragon King Shroom does. But when the ally in the back row has a debuff which prevents movement after being attacked, activates Commanding Shout on the target. Can be activated once every 4 turns. Commanding Shout dispels all debuffs from the allies and grants immunity and a barrier for 2 turns. Barrier strength increases proportional to the catcher's max HP. There we go. Boom! I did that. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Jesus Christ, these these skills are turning into fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Okay, so nice. And then her S3 attacks all enemies again with a Sword Storm with a 75% chance to defense break for 2 turns and increases defense of all allies for 2 turns. Damage increase proportional to catcher's max HP. That's pretty damn good. And if we just look quickly at his stats, I mean, she has pretty decent bulk stats. His attack going up is kind of questionable. I'd rather have it be his defense, but it's alright, it's fine. Serviceable. So, good changes for Tywin. Boom. Plug 1. Instead of his S1 dispelling 1 debuff, his S1 transfers a buff to the ally in the back row. Plain and simple. And his Soul Burn, instead of this stupid effect chance, changes to ignore effect resistance. We already have haste that's able to just ignore strip buffs. Let's get a unit that can ignore take a buff. Fantastic. S2. So to update to Commanding Shout, we all agreed that it needs more interruption and interaction with the enemy team. So what we decided is that the Commanding Shout will now pushes the CR of the caster and the unit in the back row by 20%. It's a better version of Christie in all cases, and the caster also receives 25% of the damage suffered by the ally in the back row. So, boom! After they get a nice little CR push if the ally in the back row is attacked, and if the caster receives the damage for them if they're attacked with the CR push. So that's perfect. So it's a nice little rendition of Christie that I like, and the S3 is pretty simple. Just add strip 1 buff from each enemy, just each unit. So that takes care of pesky units that have like immunity in the front. You can strip that, then land the defense break, so that gives you even better chance, which is fantastic. Now, in regards to his EEs, all of his EEs fucking suck. I'm sorry. Oh, good God, I am so sorry. All his EEs are trash. So, the first one we're gonna do is transfer buffs to all teammates for the E for his S1. So if you want to give the buff that you strip from the enemy team, so let's say the enemy has immunity. They're the only immunity unit on the team. You S1 them to take their immunity. And if you have this EE, you can take the immunity and give it to everybody, which is fantastic. In regards to his S2, the effect of Commanding Shout is extended to all allies. So all allies will receive the immunity and the barrier only. They're not going to get the CR push. They're not going to get, like him taking damage for them. I'm not going to get from Aureus. That's a little too much at that point. And finally for S3, which I feel like is very good, add that he has the ability to reduce CR for 15%. So, it's good for like interruption between mid-speed teams, or let's say the enemy team has a DPS that's slower than your Tywin, so they haven't gone yet, or they haven't speed tuned properly. A nice little CR decrease will actually get you back in the fight or push them back. So Tywin, with the Tywin buffs, I would say that he's like an amalgamation, like a better Christie mixed in with like an Tywin. He's not cleansing the entire team, but he's providing barriers. So that'll make him more useful in teams that, want to do buff stacking, which is fantastic. If you want to do that, I'm not going to judge you for that at all. So, like, the ER gives him a lot of, like, variety when it comes to how you want to build him. Also with, like, the team comps, so you want singular coverage or full coverage. But now, the last in the Save a Homie episode 1 is going to be Benny Poo Poo Kakamaru. Anyway, General of the the Great Jura Forest Federation. Oh wait, no, it's the Great Jura Federation. Fuck it. The JF. You know what? Screw it. I'm keeping that in. Shiitake Maru. Let's go ahead and talk about Shiitake Maru real fast. Our wonderful general from the beautiful Slime collab. He is a fighting spirit unit. Kind of unfortunate, right? So his S1 cuts the enemy to attack. What is this localization? Hello? Okay. When the caster is granted multi-layer barrier, increases damage dealt. Multi-layer barrier increases effect hit trance and is unaffected by debuffs and some harmful effects. So CR pushbacks, and like debuffs. He's basically immune to those. S2, oh my god, it's another fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card. Okay, you can read it, right? You can pause the video. Yeah, so basically he gets Fighting Spirit at the top of the turn. I'm not reading this Yu-Gi-Oh card. If the enemy takes essentially takes an extra turn, he dispels all debuffs from himself. He gives himself the multi-layer barrier, and he increases his CR, which is fantastic, by a whopping, oh my god, 15, 12, oh god. Okay, 50. Okay, cool. Perfect. Fine. He takes the next turn. I didn't do that math properly. I'm not doing it again. So essentially after that, he has the ability to perform Hail Flare, which he penetrates your defense by 30 normally or by 60 when granted multi-layer barrier, which is nice. And then his S3 is Show No Mercy, attacks the enemy by slashing them in their soul, which is, kind of rough. Decreases defense for 2 turns before increasing combat readiness of the ally with the highest combat readiness, except for the caster, by 15%. So basically, whoever has the highest CR after you, they get a bump by 15. And they double their fighting spirit acquired with multi-layer barrier. Alright, so that was a lot of... that was a mouthful. My mouth is hurting right now. Talking about Benimaru. But, so, first things first, this S1 is garbage. I know a lot of people like to run Benimaru on, like, counter. Don't know why. I don't have him, so I can't judge. And some people run him on speed, but we thought, with his S1, give him a 70% chance to defense break, and when he has multi-layer barrier, he gets a CR push of 15%. So it'll allow him to cycle properly, and if you want to put him on counter, it gives because a lot of the time the enemy will just focus him instead of extra turning. So if he's on counter and he procs this and he dual attacks and he lands a defense break, sometimes that can be very debilitating depending on what unit he's on the team with. Like let's say he's on the team with Landy and they hit him, he counterattacks, Landy also Elbrises into them with a defense break. Sometimes that can kill a unit. And this just seems fantastic for him. And the ability to CR push it just adds to his, just usability, so to speak. And for his S2, I decided, and no one in chat disagreed with me, that to change it as at the start of an enemy's extra turn, dispels all debuffs from the caster, grants speed up for 2 turns, as long with multi-layer barrier. So now he has speed up in his kit. And also the last little change to the S2 is that with Hell Flare, keeping that in as well. With Hell Flare, we decided that he will grant himself attack up because with the way chat brought it to me, since I don't have the unit, is that a lot of people run him with like a hit chance artifact like Symbol of Unity or Sword of Summer Twilight. Not Sword of Summer Twilight. Arunca's artifact, just to give him a little extra hit chance. I feel like with this, he can get the attack up, because a lot of people do say that sometimes Benimaru just doesn't have enough damage. Like if you look at his stats, his attack is just not the best. You know, it's 1100 and he's supposed to be a warrior. Like, no, give him attack up. That'll help him in some arenas, and with the penetrating defense by 60%, he's fine. He's good to go. And with the S3, for the defense break, if he has multi-layer barrier granted, he ignores the effect resistance, and at the bottom cannot be cooldown increased or decreased. So we'll change the skill enhance to just damage, like let's say a Lionheart's Hermia, for example. Instead of a cooldown, it's just on a, or Ravi, since, you know, fighting spirit units, rah. So instead of having it the ability to be reset, because a lot of people like Knuckle will just soul burn S3, reset the Benimaru's S3, so now he can't do anything. With this, he just can't be reset. So even though he's granted multi-layer barrier, yeah, he has Hell Flare, he can't get to a defense break. So if he can't get to a defense break with the changes to S1, he has an opportunity to defense break and kill something. But nothing too drastic. But the real drastic part is Smilegate. Remove the fighting spirit from this fucking unit's kit. Like, please do. That would make him so much more useful, because he takes hits from C-Poly, he takes hits from Elvira. Like, please, just save this man. Like, just get this out of here. But anyway, YouTube, that is the end of the Save a Homie episode 1. Woo! Yeah, we survived, right? I hope you guys come back. Anyway, I do appreciate you all being here. I do appreciate all the likes. Tell me how I can improve in the comment section down below. Tell me how you feel about my current suggestions for the units in this video. And if you have any questions, comments, concern, you can drop on by at twitch.tv/Tsuchikage, or you can take a drop down to my Discord. It will be in the comments below. So have a great rest of your day, YouTube, and I will see you in the next video.